this project, particularly in the grand scheme of having created so many different films about Anne of Green Gables, is that it has a kind of a picture book story quality to it that in a way goes beyond where the other films went. And Anne is that kind of a character. She is something out of a storybook. So the lavish quality of the film itself really surrounds her and brings her character to life and lets her go off in different directions, both in terms of her fantasy, where she imagines she's, one minute she's a princess, the next minute she's skating on an ice rink. It really captures all of the joy and the kind of breathlessness of her character. So we think that the way Anne's character has been interpreted in the film will really, really make this story unique.
Anne of Green Gables is such a well-known and well-loved story. We wanted to have a slightly different Anne. It's sort of the journey to Green Gables, how she got there. It becomes much more of an exciting action movie for children as opposed to what the original story was. So you can introduce more of a fantasy sense in animation that you can't get out of the live action as much.
We've decided to kind of reinvent the Anne of Green Gables story by setting it in a slightly different time and place. Green Gables still exists, but Anne is taken to a horrible orphanage called Grout Orphanage, where she's left in the care of the horrible orphanage director by the name of Madame Poubelle.
One of the great, really exciting parts of the story is the villainess, Madame Poubelle, and her two henchmen, Wilfred and Tupper. This is really one of the staples of children's animated films, that you always have a wonderful, sort of evil but quite magnificent villainess, and Madame Poubelle certainly fills that role.
Most great dramas exist with strong villains, and in the original, really the townspeople were the villains in the piece. So in trying to up the stakes and up the ante in this animated story, it's meant that we've had to almost create a whole other fictitious level to the world of Green Gables.
I intend to be so winning and cash, just the way life needs to be.
Anne's kind of a different character. She's got a different attitude. Some of my favorite parts were probably when Anne and Felix and Gilbert went to go check out where Tupper and Wilfred were staying. Wilfred woke up because Anne had made a noise, and he was like chasing them, and it was really funny.
Oh, they have all the fun.
Huh? Ow!
Felix! Another favorite part was begging to Mrs. Lynde. One of the things I had to say was, "Oh, Mrs. Lynde, I'm so extremely sorry. I've disgraced my good friends who've let me stay at Green Gables, even though I'm not a boy." Getting the right emotion, like getting it to sound just exactly right. It was really hard at first, but then I kind of got the hang of it.
You're a rude, unfeeling woman, and I hate you.
I know a lot of other people would have been really happy to do this, but I was like super, super happy. This is too beautiful to be real.
Anne, wait!
I can't help myself.
Huh? Whoa!
I'm the ink and paint and compositing department manager for Anne the movie. In our department, we also do digital effects. And we know from the beginning that this cloud sequence is a product of Anne's imagination. What we did was we took basically a series of hand-painted cloud images and we morphed between them. A morph is basically a distortion of the image with a dissolve. Another effect that we couldn't achieve just by traditional means was the shot where Anne's evil stepmother, Mrs. Hammond, turns from a goblin into this screaming lady standing above Anne. This is one of my favorite shots in the movie.
Anne!
This is the last time. How can I leave you with babies you aren't responsible enough to be left with anyone or anything? I'll take none of your cheap. Get!
A layout artist works from the storyboard panels, which are very small thumbnail representations, almost like a comic strip of what the movie's all about. And basically, we take these roughs, we put the background in, we place all the characters, do some rough posing, and then the animators can work from our rough posing and animate. The background guys can take our line drawings and paint them up. We put camera moves in, effects, and like I say, it acts pretty much as a blueprint. I think most layout artists like an interesting location to work with, and in the case of this movie, I guess I'd have to say the Poubelle's room, which is interesting because it's a round room with a bed, her bed right in the middle of the room. So it presents some sort of interesting staging challenges for the layout guys to move the camera around and hook the shots up and that sort of thing.
What I found that was really neat was working as a team as opposed to maybe in different situations where you have your certain role and that's your role and you don't really deviate from it, whereas we've spilled over into all different kinds of roles. So the whole team effort was what I think was really good.
Using a beautiful backgrounds we have, like beautiful watercolor that was all done on computer and stuff. It's almost created a new art form. So I think it's gonna look really nice. It's gonna look really special. It is one of the scenes that one of the artists has taken from the storyboard to be animated, and you can work out his timing here, whether or not he needs more drawings, he needs to space the drawings apart or closer together.
Part of the challenge in working in any media is to try and define the essence of story and to make sure that that story is translated correctly onto the screen. In a live action process, when you're making a film, you're working with live actors and you're capturing moments on screen that you later edit into a film. In making an animated film, you're doing everything backwards. You're recording the voices and then making sure that a team of artists are actually interpreting your ideas and bringing those characters to life. So there's a tremendous amount of communication that exists on multiple levels, and one doesn't always communicate with every single artist, so there are layers of communication that one uses to be able to interpret characters. The lengthy process of creating an animated film too makes it difficult because you can almost lose track of what was going on because you may devise a scene and not see the results of it till 9 months later. So you have to really be in tune with the individual moments that you created in the script and then make sure that those moments are communicated to everyone along the food chain, so to speak, of how ideas are put together.
Working on the project has been an extremely fulfilling experience for me, and I believe for everyone else who worked on it. I truly think that we work together as a team. Every single person is just as important as every single other person. From the artists to the painters to the producers, everyone has a role to play. And I hope that everyone feels as happy and as proud about the end result as I do.
Having produced 3 different versions of Anne of Green Gables in live action, seeing Anne go from a child to a teacher to a grown-up who goes off to war with her husband, we realized that there was an opportunity to create a young Anne that younger children could watch with their parents. So the movie is really designed for kids to watch with their parents, and kids in particular, probably under the age of 10, who wouldn't necessarily sit down and watch the live action film. So we're really hopeful that this will become a kind of timeless classic for kids to enjoy with their parents over and over again.
It was a lot of fun doing it, so I hope you really like it.
I said for a boy, but then I was a girl. My dreaming had just let me down again. I came as a queen with long ebony hair. Then maybe they'd feel I was worth it for them. I'm a good worker in spite of my talking. I long to belong here for all of my life. Don't send me away without saying when I see everything I touch is full of delight. I'll do my best to not let you down. I can imagine a world full of joy. Just give me your hand and I'll teach you to hope. You'll find that I'm something worthwhile.